The words cut through the dinner party like a knife through silence. "Let's toast to family," my mother-in-law, Patricia, announced, standing with her wine glass raised. "To those who can actually continue the family line." She looked directly at me, her smile sharp as broken glass. 30 relatives sat around the decorated tables in her backyard. My sister-in-law, Melissa, covered her mouth. My husband, Andrew, stared at his plate. Nobody spoke. Patricia's smile widened. "Some women just aren't meant to be mothers, I suppose. Nature has a way of deciding these things." Laughter rippled through the crowd, nervous, uncomfortable, but laughter nonetheless. My face burned. My hands shook in my lap. I couldn't breathe. Andrew still didn't look up. Patricia raised her glass higher. "To the women who can give us grandchildren. May they be blessed." Everyone drank except me. I sat frozen in my chair, 30 pairs of eyes avoiding mine, while my mother-in-law smiled triumphantly over her wine glass. She'd planned this moment. I could see it in her eyes, the satisfaction, the cruelty, the victory. Something inside me cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet, final break. I excused myself before the tears could fall. Nobody followed. The bathroom door clicked shut behind me, and I collapsed against the sink. My reflection stared back, mascara smudging, face red, hands trembling. Outside, the party continued. Laughter. Conversations. Life moving forward without me. I pressed my palms against my eyes, trying to stop the tears. 4 years of infertility. 4 years of treatments, disappointments, and grief. 4 years of Patricia's comments, suggestions, and thinly veiled insults. But tonight was different. Tonight she'd weaponized my pain in front of everyone we knew. A soft knock on the door. "Honey." Andrew's voice. Quiet. Uncertain. "I'm fine," I managed. Silence. Then footsteps walking away. He didn't push. Didn't demand to come in. Didn't defend me. He just left. I slid down the bathroom wall, sitting on the cold tile floor. That's when I heard voices through the vent. Patricia's voice, smug and satisfied. I invited the whole family specifically for this. She needed to hear the truth. Someone had to say it. My aunt's uncomfortable laugh. "Patricia, that was harsh." Harsh. It's reality. My son deserves better than a barren wife. I stopped breathing. She'd planned this. Every word. Every humiliation. My phone buzzed in my purse. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands. An email notification glowed on the screen. Subject: Adoption Review Update. Final stage. My heart stopped. I'd completely forgotten about the email I'd been waiting for. The adoption agency. The application I'd submitted 3 months ago. The application Andrew knew nothing about. After our last failed IVF attempt, after Andrew said he was done trying, after Patricia suggested we accept reality, I'd started the adoption process alone. Quietly. Desperately. I didn't open the email. I couldn't. Not here. Not now. Not with Patricia's cruelty still ringing in my ears. I wiped my face, fixed my makeup as best I could, and opened the bathroom door. The party was winding down. Relatives were gathering their things. Patricia stood near the dessert table, laughing with Melissa, who looked 8 months pregnant and glowing. Patricia saw me emerge and smiled, that same cruel, satisfied smile. "Feeling better, dear?" she called out sweetly. Everyone turned to look. I walked past her without responding, heading toward Andrew. But Patricia wasn't finished. "Oh, before you go," Patricia said loudly, stopping me mid-step. "I have something for you." She pulled a small gift bag from behind the dessert table. Pastel blue with white ribbons. My stomach dropped. "Come here, dear," she insisted, waving me over. Andrew finally looked up, his expression uncertain. I walked over slowly, feeling every eye on me again. Patricia handed me the bag with a smile. "Just a little something. For motivation." My hand shook as I opened it. Inside was a tiny baby Onacy, white with yellow ducks. The kind you buy for newborns. For when you finally manage, Patricia said loudly. If you ever do, keep it as inspiration. The room went completely silent. Even Melissa looked horrified now. I stared at that honesty, feeling something shift inside me. Not sadness anymore. Not embarrassment. Rage. Pure, cold rage. But I didn't scream. I didn't throw it back at her. I didn't give her the scene she wanted. I folded the honesty carefully, placed it back in the bag, and looked Patricia directly in the eyes. Thank you, I said quietly. I'll keep this. Her smile faltered slightly. She'd expected tears, drama, a breakdown. Instead, I walked out with my head high. Andrew scrambled to follow me. The car ride home was silent. Andrew kept glancing at me, waiting for me to explode. I stared out the window, the gift bag in my lap, my mind racing. She didn't mean it like that, Andrew finally said. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. How did she mean it, Andrew? She's old-fashioned. She wants grandchildren. She humiliated me in front of your entire family. She called me barren. She gave me a baby honesty as a joke. My voice stayed eerily calm. And you said nothing. I didn't know what to say. How about don't talk to my wife that way? How about that's cruel and inappropriate? How about anything, Andrew? He pulled into our driveway. You're overreacting. Those words. That dismissal. That final confirmation that I was alone in this marriage. I'm done, I said quietly. Done with what? Done trying to earn love from people who will never give it. I got out of the car, taking the gift bag with me. Done begging for support I'll never receive. I walked inside, went straight to our bedroom, and closed the door. Andrew didn't follow. I sat on the edge of the bed and finally opened that email. My hands shook as I read the message. Dear Mrs. Winters, we are pleased to inform you that your adoption application has been approved and moved to the matching phase. Based on our review, you have been cleared as a single adoptive parent, Single adoptive parent. I'd removed Andrew from the application 6 weeks ago, after he'd said he was done with the baby dream and suggested we move on. After the third time he'd skipped a therapy appointment. After Patricia convinced him adoption meant raising someone else's mistake. I'd done it quietly, updating my status to single, providing documentation of our separation of finances, explaining that I was proceeding alone. And they'd approved me. Me. Just me. The email continued with next steps, timeline estimates, and a request to confirm my interest in moving forward. There was a link to accept or decline. I stared at that link for 10 minutes. This was it. The moment that would split my life in two. If I clicked accept, I was committing to becoming a mother, alone. Without Andrew. Without his family. Without their approval or support. If I declined, I was accepting defeat. Accepting that Patricia was right. That I wasn't meant to be a mother. I clicked accept. A new email arrived immediately. Confirmation and next steps. Official paperwork would arrive by mail within 2 weeks. I closed my laptop and lay back on the bed. For the first time in months, I felt something other than pain. I felt hope. The next 2 weeks were strange. I attended family dinners, smiled politely, and let Patricia's comments roll off me like water. She thought she'd broken me. She thought I'd given up. She had no idea. Andrew noticed the change. You seem different, he said one morning. Different how? I don't know. Calmer. Less sad. I poured my coffee. Maybe I'm finally accepting reality. He looked relieved. That's when I knew he wanted me to give up. Wanted me to stop wanting something he couldn't give me. Wanted his mother to be right. I smiled and kissed his cheek. I'm fine, Andrew. Really. At work, I threw myself into projects. At home, I kept the house perfect. At family gatherings, I played the dutiful daughter-in-law. Nobody suspected anything. Then Patricia made an announcement at Sunday dinner. She stood up, beaming, and clinked her glass. Everyone. Wonderful news. Melissa and her husband are expecting. We finally have a grandchild on the way." The room erupted in cheers. Melissa blushed, her husband grinned, and Patricia glowed with triumph. "Finally," Patricia said, looking directly at me, "a real grandchild. A blood relative. A true heir to this family." Andrew squeezed my hand under the table. Not comfort, just acknowledgement that his mother had struck again. I smiled. "Congratulations, Melissa. That's wonderful news." Patricia looked disappointed that I hadn't cried. 3 days later, the envelope arrived. I saw it through the front window, thick, official, with the adoption agency's return address clearly visible. My heart stopped. Andrew wouldn't be home for 2 more hours. I had time. I picked up the envelope with shaking hands. It was addressed only to me. Not Mr. and Mrs. Winters. Just Ms. Charlotte Winters. Inside were official documents. Adoption approval. Background check clearances. Financial approval. Medical clearances. A letter explaining the matching process would begin immediately. And a personal note from my caseworker. * Congratulations, Charlotte. You're going to be an amazing mother. *. I sat on the couch, papers spread around me, and cried. Not sad tears this time. Relief. Joy. Overwhelming gratitude that someone, somewhere, believed I deserved this. I was reading through the documents when I heard Andrew's car pull up, 30 minutes early. I scrambled to gather the papers, but I wasn't fast enough. The front door opened. Andrew walked in, saw me surrounded by documents, and froze. "What's all this?" I stood up slowly, papers in hand. "We need to talk." His eyes found the agency letterhead. His face went pale. "Charlotte, what did you do?" "What you refused to do," I said quietly. "I kept fighting." Andrew stared at the papers like they were a snake about to strike. "You applied for adoption. Without telling me. I told you 3 months ago I was considering it. You said you were done. Done trying. Done hoping. Done with the baby dream." I kept my voice steady. "So I did it alone. You can't adopt without my consent." "Actually, I can. As a single person." I showed him the approval letter. "I removed you from the application 6 weeks ago. You weren't supportive enough to qualify as a co-parent." The words hit him like a slap. His face went from pale to red. "Supportive? I went through years of treatments with you. You went through the motions. You skipped therapy. You listened to your mother tell me I was defective. You stayed silent while she mocked me publicly." I stepped closer. "When was the last time you asked how I was feeling? When was the last time you defended me?" He couldn't answer. "This isn't about punishing you, Andrew. It's about protecting my child. A child deserves parents who fight for them. You stopped fighting. My mother's going to lose her mind." Of course. That was his concern. Not our marriage. Not me. Not the child. His mother's reaction. "She doesn't need to know yet," I said. "How can she not know? You're adopting a baby." "I'm adopting a baby. Not we. Just me." I gathered the papers. "And right now, this information is private. You can't do this. Watch me." I walked to our bedroom and closed the door, leaving Andrew standing in the living room, finally understanding he'd lost control. Patricia found out 3 days later. I don't know how. Maybe Andrew told her. Maybe she saw mail. Maybe she sensed something was different. But she called me at work, her voice sharp with fury. "What is this I hear about adoption papers?" I took a deep breath. "That's between Andrew and me. You're trying to trap my son with someone else's child." "I'm trying to become a mother, Patricia. Something you've mocked me for failing at. Those children are damaged. You don't know what you're getting." I hung up. She called back immediately. I didn't answer. She called Andrew. He called me, panicking. "My mother knows about the adoption. She's furious. She wants to talk to you." I have nothing to say to her. "Charlotte, please. Just talk to her. She's threatening to. Threatening to what? Mock me again. Tell me I'm not good enough. I'm done caring what your mother thinks. I hung up on him too. That evening, Patricia showed up at our house. Andrew let her in before I could stop him. She stormed into the living room where I sat calmly reading. You need to stop this nonsense immediately. This is my home, Patricia. You weren't invited. I'm trying to save my son from a terrible mistake. The terrible mistake was him not supporting his wife. I closed my book. Now, please leave. Not until you promise to stop this adoption. I'll never promise that. Patricia's face twisted with rage. You're stealing a future from my son. Your son had 4 years to support me. He chose you instead. I stood up. Now get out of my house. Patricia didn't leave quietly. She called me names. Accused me of manipulation. Told Andrew he needed to control his wife. Andrew stood there, torn between us, saying nothing useful to either side. Finally, I called the police. I have someone refusing to leave my property. That got Patricia moving. She left, but not before promising this wasn't over. The next day, something strange happened. The adoption agency called me. Ms. Winters, we had an unusual situation. Someone called claiming to be you, trying to cancel your application. My blood went cold. What? We didn't process it, of course. The voice didn't match our recorded calls with you, and they couldn't verify security information. But we flagged your account for potential harassment. Who called? They didn't give a name. But we've documented the attempt. If it happens again, we'll involve authorities. Patricia. It had to be Patricia. She'd actually tried to sabotage my adoption. Thank you for protecting my application, I said. Of course. We take these attempts very seriously. It's actually grounds for a restraining order if needed. I filed that information away. If Patricia pushed further, I'd use it. That Sunday, family dinner was unavoidable. Andrew begged me to come, to keep the peace. I agreed, but only because I was done hiding. Patricia was waiting. The moment I walked into Patricia's dining room, the energy shifted. Relatives who normally greeted me warmly barely made eye contact. Patricia had been talking. Melissa approached me cautiously. Charlotte, I heard about. I'm sorry things are difficult. Things are actually wonderful, I said pleasantly. I'm going to be a mother soon. Her eyes widened. Through adoption? Yes. I was approved last week. Patricia appeared beside us, her smile poisonous. How lovely. Raising some stranger's unwanted child. I'm sure that will fulfill you. The nearby relatives went quiet. I turned to face her directly. Do you remember what you said at your party 3 weeks ago? In front of everyone. Patricia's smile faltered. I don't recall. You said I wasn't meant to be a mother. That nature had decided. You gave me a baby Onacy as a joke. My voice carried across the room. You humiliated me in front of 30 people. Do you remember that? The room had gone completely silent. Patricia's face flushed. You're being dramatic. Am I? I looked around at the gathered relatives. Who else was there? Who heard what she said? My aunt spoke up quietly. I was there. Patricia, you did say those things. It was cruel. Another cousin nodded. I felt uncomfortable. It wasn't appropriate. Patricia's carefully constructed image cracked. I was joking. Charlotte is too sensitive. Calling someone barren isn't a joke, I said calmly. Mocking infertility isn't humor. And trying to sabotage my adoption by calling the agency pretending to be me? That's not concern. That's cruelty. Gasps around the room. Patricia went pale. I didn't. Patricia started. The agency documented it. I interrupted. They flagged my account for harassment. They offered to help me file a restraining order. Andrew stepped forward finally. Charlotte, can we talk about this privately? No. I kept my eyes on Patricia. Your mother has spent 4 years making me feel worthless for something I couldn't control. She's convinced you I'm defective. She's turned your family against me. And when I finally found a way to become a mother, on my own, without her approval, she tried to destroy it. Melissa touched her pregnant belly uncomfortably. Other relatives shifted in their seats. Patricia drew herself up. I was protecting my son from a bad decision. By calling the adoption agency and impersonating me. That's illegal, Patricia. Her face went from pale to grey. Andrew looked shocked. Mom, you didn't actually. I was concerned. Patricia snapped. That woman is going to trap you with a child that isn't yours. A child with unknown genetics, unknown problems, unknown love. I finished. Unknown joy. Unknown hope. I shook my head. The only unknown here was how cruel you'd be willing to be to maintain control. Andrew stood frozen between us, and for the first time, I saw something shift in his expression. Not quite support, but recognition. He was finally seeing his mother clearly. Mom, he said quietly, did you really call the agency? Patricia's silence was answer enough. The dinner ended early. Relatives left quickly, uncomfortable with the confrontation. Melissa hugged me on her way out, whispering, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was this bad. Patricia retreated to her bedroom, furious and humiliated. Andrew and I stood in her kitchen alone. I didn't know she called the agency, he said quietly. Would you have stopped her if you'd known? He didn't answer immediately. That hesitation told me everything. Charlotte, He ran his hands through his hair. I've been a terrible husband. Yes. I let my mother influence me too much. I didn't defend you. I stopped fighting for our family. He looked at me with genuine regret. I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. I waited, feeling nothing. No anger. No relief. Just emptiness. Can you forgive me? He asked. I don't know, I said honestly. You stayed silent while your mother destroyed me piece by piece. You gave up on our dreams. You made me feel like my pain was inconvenient. I'll do better. I'll support the adoption. I'll stand up to my mother. Andrew, stop. I held up my hand. You're apologizing because your mother got caught, not because you suddenly understand what you did wrong. You're afraid of consequences, not sorry for hurting me. His face crumpled. That's not fair. It's completely fair. I picked up my purse. I'm going home. You can stay here and deal with your mother, or come home and actually talk to me. Your choice. I walked out, leaving him standing in his mother's kitchen, finally forced to choose. Andrew came home 2 hours later. I was in the bedroom, reviewing adoption paperwork. I told my mother she can't contact you anymore, he said from the doorway. Okay. I told her what she did was wrong. That she'd gone too far. Okay. Charlotte, talk to me. I looked up from the papers. What do you want me to say? Thank you for finally doing what you should have done years ago. I want you to tell me we can fix this. I set down the papers carefully. I'm adopting a baby, Andrew. With or without you. That's happening. I know. And your mother will never accept that child. She'll call them damaged. She'll compare them to Melissa's baby. She'll make that child feel unwanted every single day. I won't let her. You let her do it to me. I stood up. Why would a child be different? Andrew sat on the edge of the bed, his head in his hands. What do you want me to do? I want you to decide what matters more, your mother's approval or your family. You matter more. Then prove it. I handed him my phone, showing Patricia's number. Call her. Right now. Tell her she won't be part of this child's life unless she changes. He stared at the phone like it weighed 1,000 pounds. That's what I thought, I said quietly. I took back my phone and walked out of the bedroom, leaving Andrew alone with his cowardice. The next morning, I made a decision. I called a lawyer. I want to file for divorce, I said. and I want to ensure my adoption proceeds without interference. The lawyer, a woman named Victoria, listened carefully. Is your husband contesting the adoption? He's not supporting it. His mother is actively trying to sabotage it. I need legal protection. We can file for separation immediately, which will strengthen your position as a single adoptive parent. We can also file for a restraining order against your mother-in-law if she continues to harass you. How long will this take? Separation can be filed today. Divorce in this state requires a 6-month waiting period. 6 months. I could do 6 months. Let's file the separation papers, I said. That afternoon, Andrew came home to find his belongings packed in boxes in the garage. What is this? He asked, shocked. I filed for separation this morning. You need to move out. Charlotte, you can't just. I can, and I did. You have 30 days to find a place. Until then, you sleep in the guest room. We can work this out. You had 4 years to work it out. You chose your mother over me every single time. I handed him the separation papers. This isn't about punishment. It's about protecting myself and my future child. Our child, he said desperately. No, Andrew. My child. You made it clear you're done with the baby dream, remember? He looked at the papers, his hands shaking. If I sign these, I lose you. You lost me when you stayed silent while your mother destroyed me. Andrew didn't sign the papers immediately. He begged, promised, made grand declarations about changing. I listened with a calm detachment that surprised even me. 2 weeks later, the adoption agency called with incredible news. Ms. Winters, we have a potential match. A birth mother has selected you from our approved families. She's due in 6 weeks. My knees went weak. 6 weeks. Yes. She specifically requested a single mother, someone who understood struggle and chose to fight through it. Your profile resonated with her. The caseworker paused. Charlotte, you're going to have a baby girl. I sat down hard, tears streaming down my face. A girl. A healthy baby girl. The birth mother wants to meet you next week if you're interested. Yes. Yes, absolutely yes. After I hung up, I sat in silence, processing. 6 weeks. I was going to be a mother in 6 weeks. Andrew wasn't home. I had no one to tell, no one to celebrate with. So I called my sister, who I'd kept at arm's length during the worst of my marriage troubles. I'm adopting a baby girl, I said when she answered. In 6 weeks. She screamed. Actually screamed with joy. Charlotte. Oh my God. I'm coming over right now. Within 2 hours, my sister arrived with champagne and baby magazines. We sat on my living room floor, planning a nursery, laughing, crying happy tears. That's when Andrew came home and saw me genuinely happy for the first time in years. He looked devastated. You're matched? Andrew asked quietly. Yes. A baby girl. 6 weeks. He sat down slowly on the couch. That's wonderful. My sister glared at him. You don't get to be part of this. Not after what you did. I'm still her husband, Andrew protested. A husband who let his mother torture his wife for years. My sister shot back. You don't deserve to celebrate this. Andrew looked at me. Charlotte, please. I want to be part of this. I'll do better. I'll sign the separation papers, I said simply. What? If you want to be part of this child's life, prove it. Sign the papers. Move out. Give me space to prepare. And then, maybe, we can discuss co-parenting. Co-parenting? We're married. Not for much longer. I stood up. You have a choice, Andrew. Sign the papers and potentially be part of this child's life on my terms, or fight me and lose everything. He stared at me, finally understanding I meant every word. And your mother, I continued, will never meet my daughter. Not until she apologizes. Not until she demonstrates genuine change. And honestly, I don't think she's capable of that. She's my mother. And this is my daughter. My child comes first. Always. Andrew left that night. My sister stayed, helping me plan, dream, and prepare. 2 days later, Andrew signed the separation papers. Andrew moved out the following week. He found an apartment across town, close enough to visit but far enough to give me space. Patricia called him constantly, I heard through Melissa, trying to convince him to fight me. But something had shifted in Andrew. He'd finally seen how his mother's control had destroyed his marriage. He was too late to save us, but maybe not too late to be a father. He called me one evening. Can I help set up the nursery? I hesitated. Why? Because I want to be part of this, if you'll let me. Not as your husband. I know I lost that. But as a co-parent. Someone who supports you. You'd have to stand up to your mother. I already did. I told her she's not welcome in my new apartment until she apologizes to you. Really apologizes. And she hung up on me. We haven't spoken in 3 days. I softened slightly. You can help with the nursery. But Andrew, if you bring your mother around my daughter. I won't. I promise. The next day, Andrew arrived with paint supplies and a crib. We worked in careful silence, building a life for a child who wasn't biologically ours but would be completely ours in every way that mattered. I'm sorry, Andrew said as we assembled the crib. For all of it. For not defending you. For letting my mother control me. For giving up when you needed me most. I know you are. But sorry doesn't erase 4 years of pain. I know. But maybe it's a start. I looked at the nursery taking shape. Maybe. Meeting the birth mother was terrifying. Her name was Taylor, and she was 19 years old, barely more than a child herself. We met at a coffee shop, neutral territory. She was petite, nervous, clutching her pregnant belly protectively. I wanted to meet you, Taylor said softly. To make sure my baby was going to someone who really wanted her. I've wanted a child for 4 years, I said honestly. I went through treatments, failures, heartbreak. This adoption, it's everything to me. Why did you keep fighting? Most people would have given up. Because some people are meant to be mothers. It just doesn't always happen the way we expect. Taylor smiled through tears. That's what I thought when I read your profile. You understand that love isn't just biology. We talked for 2 hours. About her situation. About my struggles. About the baby we'd both love in different ways. I'm not giving her up because I don't want her, Taylor said firmly. I'm choosing you because I want her to have the life I can't give her right now. The stability. The 2-parent home, she paused. Your application said you were married. Separated, I corrected. My husband and I are working toward co-parenting, but we're not together anymore. Is that because of the adoption? The adoption revealed problems that were already there. Taylor nodded slowly. Will he be a good father? I thought about Andrew assembling the crib, standing up to Patricia, showing up consistently for the first time in years. I think he's learning to be, I said honestly. That's good enough for me. For weeks before the baby was due, Patricia finally reached out. Not to me, to the adoption agency. The caseworker called me, frustrated. Ms. Winters, we've had another interference attempt. This time someone contacted us claiming to have information about your stability as a parent. My blood boiled. What did they say? They claimed you were mentally unstable, that your marriage was falling apart, that you were an unfit parent. We investigated thoroughly, spoke with your references, reviewed your background checks, consulted with our psychologist. Everything checked out perfectly. The claims were baseless. It was my mother-in-law. We suspected. This is now the 2nd harassment attempt. We're documenting everything, and I strongly recommend you file for a restraining order. I called Victoria immediately. Within 2 days, I had a temporary restraining order against Patricia. She couldn't contact me, couldn't come within 500 feet of my home, couldn't contact the adoption agency. When Andrew found out, he showed up at my house, furious, but not at me. My mother tried to sabotage your adoption again, he shouted. After everything. After I told her to stop. She can't help herself. She needs control. Well, she's lost it completely now. My father called me. She's threatening legal action, claiming grandparents' rights. I laughed bitterly. She has no rights. The baby isn't born yet. And when she is, I'm the only legal parent. Can she actually try to claim rights later? Victoria says no. Grandparents' rights only apply in specific circumstances, usually when there's an existing relationship. Patricia will never have a relationship with my daughter. Andrew sat down heavily. I never thought my mother would go this far. I did. That's why I protected myself. 3 weeks before the due date, Patricia violated the restraining order. She showed up at my workplace, demanding to speak with me. Security called the police. Patricia was arrested, spent a night in jail, and faced charges for violating a protective order. Andrew was devastated. His father was humiliated. Melissa called me, crying. Charlotte, I'm so sorry. I never thought Mom would do something illegal. Your mother has been obsessed with controlling this situation from the beginning. Now she's facing consequences. Is there anything I can do? Support your brother. He's going to need it. His mother made her choices. The judge extended the restraining order for 5 years. Patricia was ordered to attend therapy and complete anger management classes. If she violated the order again, she'd face jail time. Andrew's father filed for separation. The family fractured completely, all because Patricia couldn't accept that she didn't control everyone's lives. I feel like I should be sad, Andrew said when he came to help paint the nursery. But mostly I feel relieved. Your mother's control was suffocating everyone. She did this to herself. I just wish she'd chosen differently. She could have had a relationship with this baby. Instead, she has nothing. She has exactly what she chose, control over nothing. 2 weeks later, Taylor went into labor. The call came at 3 a.m. Charlotte, it's time. She's at the hospital. I drove there in a daze, Andrew following in his own car. We'd discussed this, he wanted to be there, to support me, to meet his daughter even though he'd never be her legal father. The hospital waiting room felt eternal. Taylor's labor lasted 8 hours. The adoption coordinator stayed with us, explaining the process, answering questions, keeping us calm. Finally, at 11:30 a.m., a nurse appeared. Ms. Winters. You can come meet your daughter. My legs almost gave out. Andrew steadied me. Go. I'll wait here. I followed the nurse down a hallway into a quiet room. Taylor sat in bed, exhausted but glowing, holding a tiny bundle wrapped in pink. Charlotte, she said softly. Meet your daughter. She placed the baby in my arms, and my entire world shifted. She was perfect. Tiny. Beautiful. Dark hair. Peaceful face. 7 pounds. 3 ounces of pure miracle. Hi, sweetheart, I whispered. I'm your mommy. I've been waiting for you my whole life. The baby opened her eyes, deep blue, unfocused, searching. She didn't cry. Just looked at me with ancient wisdom, like she'd been waiting too. Have you chosen a name? Taylor asked. Hope, I said. Her name is Hope. I held Hope for 3 hours, memorizing every detail. Her tiny fingers. The way she smelled like possibility. The weight of her in my arms, not heavy, but significant enough to anchor me to earth. Taylor watched us with tears streaming down her face. She's perfect for you. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for this gift. Take care of her, Taylor said. Love her enough for both of us. I will. I promise. The adoption coordinator handled the paperwork. Taylor signed the relinquishment papers, each signature a gift wrapped in grief. I signed the placement papers, my hands shaking so badly I could barely write. Andrew was allowed in briefly. He looked at Hope with wonder, touching her tiny hand carefully. She's beautiful, he said quietly. You're going to be an amazing mother. We'll figure out co-parenting, I said. But slowly. On my terms. Whatever you need. I took Hope home that afternoon. My sister was waiting, the nursery perfect, everything ready. I carried my daughter across the threshold of our home. Just the two of us, starting fresh. That evening, I received dozens of messages. Friends congratulating me. Relatives asking to visit. Melissa sending a beautiful baby gift with a note. Asterisk, she's lucky to have you. Asterisk. But nothing from Patricia. Just silence where her cruelty used to live. I rocked Hope to sleep that night, singing softly, feeling complete for the first time in years. 2 months later, I sat in Hope's nursery, feeding her at 2 a.m. These quiet moments had become my favorite. Just us, the rest of the world asleep, nothing but love and milk and soft baby sounds. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia's number. Asterisk, I want to meet my granddaughter. Asterisk. No apology. No acknowledgement of what she'd done. Just entitlement and demand. I stared at that message for a long moment, then typed my response. Asterisk, you mocked my infertility publicly. You called me barren. You tried to sabotage my adoption twice. You were arrested for violating a restraining order. You have shown no remorse, no change, no genuine understanding of the pain you caused. Hope deserves better than a grandmother who sees her as less than because she's adopted. You will never meet my daughter. Not because I'm cruel, but because I'm protecting her from your cruelty. You had every chance to be part of this family. You chose control instead of love. Now you have neither. Asterisk. I hit send, then blocked the number. Hope finished eating and gazed up at me with those wise blue eyes. I burped her gently, kissed her soft head, and whispered, you are wanted. You are loved. You are mine completely. And I will protect you from anyone who tries to make you feel otherwise. I rocked her back to sleep, feeling nothing but peace. Andrew and I were working toward co-parenting. He came by twice a week, always respectful of boundaries, slowly learning to be the father Hope deserved. We'd never be married again, but maybe we could be partners in raising this miracle. My sister visited constantly, already the world's best aunt. My mother called daily, bursting with grandmother pride. Friends rallied around us, bringing meals and gifts and support. But the greatest gift wasn't from anyone else. It was the gift I'd given myself, the courage to keep fighting when everyone told me to give up. The strength to leave a marriage that was killing me slowly. The determination to become a mother on my own terms. Patricia had tried to break me. Instead, she'd forced me to discover how unbreakable I really was. I looked down at Hope, sleeping peacefully in my arms, and smiled. For years ago, Patricia had told me some women just aren't meant to be mothers. She was wrong. I was always meant to be Hope's mother. We just had to find each other first. The infertility, the betrayal, the heartbreak, it had all led here. To this perfect tiny human who needed exactly the mother I'd become through surviving it all. I'd won without becoming cruel. Without seeking revenge. Without letting Patricia's poison infect me. I'd won by refusing to give up. By protecting myself legally. By choosing hope over bitterness. And now I had everything. A daughter who was mine completely, a future full of possibility, and the knowledge that I was strong enough to face anything. I carried Hope to her crib, tucked her in carefully, and whispered, you saved me as much as I saved you. We saved each other. In the morning, I'd post a photo, just Hope's tiny hand wrapped around my finger, with a simple caption, asterisk, some families are born. Some are chosen. Ours was destined. Welcome home, Hope. Asterisk. No mention of Patricia. No acknowledgement of the battles fought. Just joy, pure and uncomplicated. Because that's what real victory looks like, not in destroying your enemies, but in building something so beautiful they become irrelevant. Patricia had mocked my infertility in front of relatives. The adoption letter arrived first. And Hope arrived right on time, exactly when I was strong enough to be her mother. Patricia lost a granddaughter she never deserved. I gained everything that truly mattered. And between those two truths, there was no contest about who really won. I turned off the nursery light, leaving the door cracked open so I could hear Hope if she needed me. My phone buzzed one last time, Andrew, sending a photo he'd taken earlier. me holding Hope, both of us sleeping peacefully on the couch. His message, this is what I should have fought for. I'm sorry it took losing you to understand. But I'm grateful you're letting me be part of her life. You're an incredible mother. I smiled, set down my phone, and climbed into bed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Sleepless nights. Feeding schedules. Doctor appointments. All the beautiful chaos of motherhood. But tonight, I slept peacefully, knowing I'd survived the worst and come out stronger. Patricia tried to destroy me. Instead, she taught me exactly how strong I was. And Hope, my perfect, chosen, destined daughter, was the proof that some endings are really just beginnings in disguise. I closed my eyes, whispering one final truth into the darkness. You tried to break me, Patricia. Instead, you made me a mother. And in that quiet triumph, I found everything I'd ever needed.